are Locked On Hornets, your daily Charlotte Hornets podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Let's go!
Welcome in. This is Locked On Hornets live here on the Locked On Podcast Network. It's Hornets talk for the hardcore fan coming to you on this beautiful Tuesday night in BEA, beautiful uptown Charlotte. We are in the wonderful Gittimer.com studios, and I'm surrounded by great company. I'm Doug Branson, joined by the man in the middle, the one, the only, David Walker.
Gentlemen, good evening.
Gentlemen,
Good evening.
buddy. And holding down the left block, he covers the Hornets for ESPN Charlotte, Justin Thomas, the man on the inside.
Hey, how's it going, guys?
What's up, dudes?
You know, I'm just excited about this Christmas party, so.
Oh, that's right, staff Christmas party.
Yeah, we just...
Kurt, big smile.
That's right. Of course, behind the glass, he's dropping those sweet droppity drops. Captain Kurt.
God, if you listen, help!
I like that one. That was a good drop.
They're just classics. Okay, we've got a great show. But yes, we do have an office Christmas party coming up. I don't know where. If you want to chat with us on YouTube, go ahead and hit us up.
Let you want to sponsor it, even better.
Yeah, if
that'd
you want
be great.
Maybe buy a couple of cases of beverages maybe for us. That would be awesome.
You know,
Yeah,
I always enjoy a good whiskey
appreciation.
and water.
There you go.
Always.
We've got a great show ahead. This is a really fun show because we've got the showdown coming up. We've got what else do we have? We've got a preview of the Wizards coming up. That's going to be a fun time. And Naughty or Nice. Thank you, Captain Kurt. We've got Naughty or Nice. And much, much more. So let's get into it. Let's start with a favorite here on the show, the Step Back 30.
And he's got to hit the three on that one.
And David, you're first up. 3 things that we liked, one from each of us about the week prior. David, you're first up. What you got for us?
Yes, I promised you guys I would start going positive, and this is the second time Nick Batum has brought out the old nutmeg play. And last week against the Pistons, he did it again. Did it to Tobias Harris. Now look, that was it. That was so fast that you barely see it happen, and this is not the best angle to catch this nutmeg. We'll see it coming up here in a second.
Well, no, there goes my video again. See, it's a work in progress, folks. No, we can put this on the big board.
There we go.
Our technology is improving every week. All right, check this out. We're gonna play this for you.
And keep an eye. That's it. That was it.
You got to have great eyes to catch that.
That's the best angle we have, folks. But trust me, it happened. I think that's 2 times on the season.
I'm trying to get my mic here. You can see that where the ball bounces, and of course, let's see if I can get this to actually play back for me. There we go. Okay, so we're going to roll this back. Right here, I've been looking at this like the Zapruder film, trying to figure out where the second shot came from. And right here is your grassy knoll. Right here, because you can, it's tough to see, but there is a ball stuck between some legs there. And I'm going Eric Collins on the show already. But you can see where the ball bounces. That's definitely a nutmeg. Like he's not, unless he just has like superhuman physics, spin ability on the ball. That's definitely that's a certified.
That's 100% it.
Yeah,
and that's the second one in recent weeks.
He's knocking him down. There's no doubt about it.
That was fun, a fun play and a win.
All right, Justin, what are you stepping back to?
You know, actually, I'm going to be positive this week also. So I guess that must have been a part of the memo in the holiday season. And over the weekend, you guys were witnesses of the Charlotte-Cleveland game. We're not even going to talk about the result. But there was a point late in the second half where Kemba Walker banged knees and it didn't look too good. And you know what started to creep into the picture?
Oh, he's got props.
Do you see what this guy's is?
Yeah, get him on the camera. There
yes, right
he's
here.
Got props.
And I like to call that
bring
the
that
injury
in front of your
bug.
face there on the close-up.
Oh, yeah, look at that.
It'll work its way onto the screen.
There it is. And you thought this thing was just going to jump out and grab Kemba, but guess what? Hey.
No, we got to
put this away. You put that away. Why? Because the Hornets are actually healthy. I was really concerned about it. I said, man, this team is never going to be able to get to full strength and see what they can actually become. But Kemba said, not so fast. He's back. He's good on 2 feet, and they're still rolling.
Well, but let me ask you guys this, because we're seeing the Hornets finally get healthy and get their full rotation, and all of a sudden they're on this tough road trip, and some things are getting exposed. So that's the interesting thing is as you watch this team get healthy, I think some things are going to start to really, we're going to find some things out about this team.
Oh, we will. There are a few things, 3, 4, 5. There are a lot of things, but I don't know if we're going to go into detail of those things, but I guess we could just
Why not? We got an hour.
Yeah,
Oh,
exactly.
well,
we got all the time in the world. Why don't you drop a couple on us?
Well,
we're already seeing some issues with Frank Kaminsky.
God.
We're seeing some issues with Roy Hibbert. We're seeing some issues with finding a second scoring option. Which one of those worries you most, guys?
I would say the scoring option.
That's been the issue from day one almost, though. That's been an issue, I think.
I'm honestly more worried about Frank and Roy because that's it. Like we have the Hornets have a ton of options at the wing position. Because I mean, you've seen Jeremy Lamb and Ramon Sessions, their minutes getting reduced because of how well Marco's playing. But Frank and Roy, there's not another option behind them waiting in the wings other than Spencer Hawes.
The one thing about the scoring that worries me is it got back to Miami is if you can take Kemba away, it's over. Nick Batum is a really good basketball player, but I'd let Nick Batum as a defender. I'd let Nick Batum try to create his own shot every chance he gets.
Well, yeah, and I think last night no one was shooting well, right? So it's like Kemba didn't have it going, and no one else could shoot. I mean, the team shot, 36% or something like that for the game. So no one had it going on. Big reason why they kept Marco in there in the fourth quarter, right, to get some more offense. So, yeah, I mean, when Kemba's not going, somebody has to be that other guy. You lean on Nick to do that. He's able to score in many bunches, right? I mean, he's yet to pour in like a big scoring night. But yeah, I mean, they're constantly looking for another guy, and it's not just another scoring guy, Doug. It's another guy who doesn't need the help, right? I mean, Marco kind of needs to come off a screen, get a good pass. Batum can create, but he's not that guy.
Mini bunches. It's like he's scoring in frosted mini wheats.
Right,
We need him scoring in the
that.
full frosted wheat. Do they even make those anymore? Do they make the full size, or was that just
The biscuit size?
Or is that just too powerful?
That's
for
probably too
children's
much
cereal?
sugar for kids these days.
All right. Well, okay.
That's a lot.
Before we get to my step back, I have an important question for everyone out there. Turn to camera 2. Do you love basketball? Of course you do. We hope you do. Otherwise, you just have a weird fascination with the sweet baritones of David Walker's voice. Are you ready to get into the action? That's the most important question because honestly, we've got a lot of cool things coming up in sports. We've got college bowl games. We've got NFL playoffs. The NBA season's really kicking into action. Well, let me tell you something. If you want to get into the action, you can with BetDSI.com. They've been in business for over 20 years. It's a safe place to play. It's a safe place to bet, and I know this because I play there. BetDSI.com has a great basketball special for you right now. Sign up today and get $10 free to try their service. And they're offering a 100% bonus on your first deposit. That's free money. BetDSI has great customer service, and they pay out winnings fast and easy. There are hundreds of football and basketball wagers to choose from. And if you're into the UFC, they've got that too. Tons of sports, soccer, anything you can think of, almost they have it. You can bet. BetDSI.com even has live in-game wagering on football, basketball, and other major sporting events. You can play virtually everything at BetDSI. Head over to BetDSI.com right now. That's BetDSI.com and use our promo code Hornets10 to get your free wager and start banking some cash. Little holiday cash. Nothing wrong with that.
Nothing.
Okay, my step back. So I kind of previewed this. If you follow us on Twitter at Locked On Hornets, I previewed this. I saw a play that I absolutely fell in love with. This is like basketball religion to me. This happened last night. Obviously, the outcome wasn't what Hornets fans wanted to see against the Pacers, but check this defensive play out. Let me put that back in the screen, and then check this defensive play out. All right, you got great rotation. I'll narrate. This is not great for people who are listening, but the ball goes down low. I mean, the Pacers are moving the ball around the paint, but the Hornets relentlessly rotating. Let's see if it actually loops. There we go. Here it is in slow motion. Great closeout by Batum. Batum follows, tight defense. It goes down low. Backside defender finds the help. Cody disrupts the pass, slows it down a little bit. It goes back down low, and there's Kemba Walker to help. Actually, that was Marvin Williams to help out again. So great rotation. I'll get those videos looping one day.
It's okay. Practice makes perfect.
Great rotation there. And again, I think it shows that the starting unit when they play defense at their maximum, one of the best defensive teams in the league. It's the second unit defense that's a little inconsistent at times, and sometimes the first unit as well. But when they really lock down, if they can get things pulled together and they make the playoffs, this is a really exciting team because of their defensive upside.
Oh yeah, I mean that's the core. That's what we always talk about too, right, Justin? I mean that's what they're going to win on. They have to win on it. But lately, I mean they give up 50% shooting last night. Now some of that is Indiana, right? They were shooting well, but they're giving up a ton of threes, and the other guys are hitting a ton of threes. Something we'll get into, I guess, when we talk about the Wizards a little bit. But last night they were on fire, and they're giving. I mean they are not defending the 3-point attempts, but I mean is that kind of by design? I mean are they? You know what I mean? I mean, they're giving up a lot of 3-pointers, and they're closing out on them early in the season pretty well.
No, I totally agree. I think, it's a matter of.
I mean, you don't want to give up. I mean, it's not like they're like, hey, shoot these 3-pointers.
Right, but it's just
because that's where the league's going.
It's sort of part of their defensive strategy. I mean, I thought it would. I honestly was surprised because I thought it would change after Al Jefferson left, because you sort of assumed that part of the strategy around their defense was centered around trying to hide Al Jefferson. A lot of the sagging, that's what it had to do with. But on it just looks like that's what Coach Clifford wants to do. He wants to protect the paint at all cost, protect transition buckets at all cost, and try to make up the 3-point differential with free throw shooting, with defensive rebounding, and hope all that equals out. Now, 17 threes from the Pacers, that's tough to equal out.
Yeah, and the Hornets at 10, Pacers at 17. The Hornets win the free throw battle by 21, but I think it's nullified with all the 3-pointers. So what are you going to do?
And I don't think it's a bad strategy, but the one problem is everybody's practicing threes. So it's like, okay, let's try to, force these guys to take them. But it's like, well, maybe a few years ago that would work great. But now guys are like, oh, you're going to leave me open? I'm going to shoot them. So, I mean, everybody's going to get your fair share of open looks, and everybody's not going to always be hot. But a lot of teams are getting really good looks, and over time, guys are going to say, okay, we know the Hornets are tough defensively, but we know we're going to get these looks. So if you get these looks and you knock them down, we're going to have a good chance to win. So that's definitely that's something I know they have to be talking about in the meeting rooms.
Yeah, and maybe it's just a matter of not closing out as much or being a half step.
And some of that is
right?
effort, because Clifford was just saying how hard it is. I think it was last year that you really have to make like a hard effort to actually get out there. And sometimes you might be sunken deep in and, really have to give a lot to get out there. So sometimes it's kind of a factor of a few things, actually.
All right, each week we're asking you our question of the show. Send us your response on Twitter at Locked On Hornets. It'll pop up on the screen next to us. Or if you're watching us live on YouTube, you can just leave it in the comment section and we will read them later in the show. This week's question looks way into the future, or maybe not, just depending on how we answer this. And it comes to us from listener Keith. Keith asks, when LeBron finally hangs it up and the East is back up for grabs, or maybe LeBron moves out west, who knows? Who would you like to see the Hornets pursue to finally take this team to the next level? So when LeBron gets out of the way and the Cavaliers stop being the consensus finals pick, who would you like to see the Hornets make a move for? We're going to answer that question for ourselves later in the show, but please make sure twitter.com/LockedOnHornets or on the YouTube chat. Okay, a new segment here, and David's got it for us.
That's right, Doug. And you wrote up some nice words for me to say, and I have them right in front of me. A new segment here, guys. Since everyone loves looking back and everyone hates moving on, we're going to look at some of the players that the Hornets have crossed paths with along the way, whether it's in free agency, the draft, or as part of the team, and they chose not to retain them or stay here. So we're going to revisit the circumstances, what those were at the time, the decision that was made or that wasn't made, and check to see if the GM made the right call to move on or pass up these players. It's time for a Cho check.
Cho check-in.
So the first, how we're going to do this, guys, is kind of based around the teams that they've either recently played or that are coming up on the schedule. So, for example, last night, Al Jefferson was an opponent. Now, in the offseason, Big Al did not sign here. There wasn't a huge push to sign him, but there was some talk around here, that he could come off the bench a little bit this year, maybe be that guy. So, career here in Charlotte, Big Al, 17.5 points per game, 9 rebounds per game, was really the cornerstone of rebuilding this franchise as a free agency option. I won't say destination just yet. I will say option. So this year, about 8 points a game, 4 rebounds a game in 15 minutes. Struggled a little bit out of the gate, and you saw him a little bit last night, kind of matched points equally with Roy Hibbert. So what's your take on that exit? I mean, was it the right move at the right time for this team to say, Al, it's been great, but we're going to have to part ways?
Well, and in reality, they probably said,
we got to make a choice.
We've got other priorities, right. And those priorities were Nick Batum and Marvin Williams, and then Indiana came in aggressively for Al Jefferson. And early on, people were very skeptical of that move from the Indiana Pacers, and it's just really now starting to shake out for the Pacers, but it has disrupted them early on. I'm going to say Cho knows here.
Cho knows.
Yeah, exactly. Because
he certainly does.
He certainly does, because I think he like everyone, kind of saw the writing on the wall, saw that this team was transforming, and knew where the priorities were. And even though Marvin Williams has struggled to shoot, I think we've seen his absence felt even with that poor shooting. So I think it was the right move to go after Marvin Williams and Nick Batum.
I'll also piggyback off that and say Cho knows, and this is why. It's almost similar with the Panthers, like when they had Cam Newton and Steve Smith, and they were like, oh my God, and next thing you know, Steve Smith gets released, and people are like, he still has a lot of good football left, and you let him go. Why do you do that? Do you want to say something, Doug?
Well, I was just going to say that you make up a great point, that I think in the league, especially now that's flush with cash, or at least it will be for the next year or two, it's better to be early to know that your team is transitioning than to be late. You know what I'm saying? It was better to ditch that way of life a year early than it would have been to hold on and have to pay him whatever he was going to command. So I just think it's better early late.
Yeah. Okay. Now to that point, keep that thought in mind. I've got one more big guy we can revisit. A guy we just saw, Bismack Biyombo, a fan favorite while he was here, plays for the Orlando Magic. Now had a playoff boom last year in Toronto, which really got his name out there. Career numbers in Charlotte: 4 points, 6 rebounds, 1.5 blocks. Okay, that was his time in Charlotte. Was not extended, was not kept here. So that was an active decision from Rich Cho, right? Since then, 6 points, 8 rebounds, 1.5 blocks. So about 2 more points and 2 more boards for Bismack so far. At the time, Justin,
it was definitely the right move. He got better. Like each year, he took a little step forward. But Charlotte, they weren't in a situation to be like, we're good enough to kind of let this guy continue to grow, because he was raw coming into the league. And I was like, they're not in that situation. Like, we have to get guys that can come in and give us things immediately. And, a lot of people liked him, and Bismack, had some good flashes, but it was definitely the right move.
And I think the Toronto thing, right, was the big thing, because that's when he blew up. And I was like, gosh, well, we really could have used him in the playoffs against the Miami Heat. That's what everyone was saying when he really dominated that series for, halfway through it. Was it the Heat series, right? Raptors Heat. So he had a big series. That was the talk at the time.
I'm going to say Cho doesn't know on this one. Yeah, I'm going to actually disagree because, well, first of all, I'm obviously I'm a biz caper. But I think that it's different than the situation we just talked about with Al, because Al was there was a little bit of a role shift that had to happen and solidify with Al moving to the bench, and somebody was going to command his services. Somebody eventually did with Biz, but I'm not sure that would have materialized had Charlotte made even just a more aggressive move on retaining him. I'm not sure suitors would have necessarily come calling in the way that they did once. I think they could have nabbed him a little earlier. And like you just said, he would have been such an amazing asset, and he would not have. I don't think he would have looked for a bigger role on this team. I think he could have fit somewhere. So I'm a little more skeptical of that move. But long term, it's going to be fine, because I don't think Biz is going to have that same impact that he had. He's not really had that same impact that he had in Toronto, in Orlando.
Okay.
All right, what's the last one?
Last one, we're gonna jumble these guys together because we've seen them recently in Harrison Barnes with the Mavs, Andre Drummond with the Pistons, and Mr. Bradley Beal tomorrow night in Washington. Now, in this draft, MKG was taken 2nd overall. We all remember losing the pick to Anthony Davis to New Orleans, of course. Barnes was taken 7th, Drummond 9th, and Beal right behind MKG at 3rd. Now, on this one, guys, Did Cho make the right choice in MKG? And if not, which guy would have been the pick? And I can give you some numbers if you need to know, but let me just say this year Harrison Barnes jumping up to 20 points a game, 6 rebounds, only shooting 34% from 3, but definitely jumping up with the new minutes there. Drummond's just a beast. We saw him 15 and 14 on the season. And Beal, when he's healthy, is one of the best 2 guards out there, I think. So
yeah, and also in that draft, Damian Lillard goes 6. But
right, I'm just keeping it again. Listen to the
Right,
rules,
I
Doug.
know,
It's a new segment, but just get used to it. We haven't seen the Trailblazers. We could have gone down the list.
I know, but I just couldn't. I can't ignore that name when it's sitting right at Damian Lillard. I mean, the opportunity. But again, I don't like to do too many guessing games with the draft because you don't even want to look at it year of, because you shouldn't draft for a year of. You should be, unless it's a once in a lifetime opportunity like Anthony Davis, then of course he's going to affect your team year of. I just think of that draft, you had Anthony Davis and Michael Kidd-Gilchrist that really had the opportunity to shift a franchise, and it was sort of 50-50 with MKG. It was a certainty with Anthony Davis. Bradley Beal had the injury issues coming in, and those, obviously those continued out. I mean, he's still having injury issues, more so than I think even MKG. So yeah. I think Cho knows in that particular case.
And Beal has never played more than 73 games. MKG is, just for reference, averaged about 9 and 7 this year.
Love to see MKG in the fourth quarter at some point. Yeah. That'd be nice too.
Justin.
Cho does not know. He does not know.
He didn't like it.
I mean, I wasn't going to go with Bradley Beal. Why? Because Bradley Beal can't play enough basketball. Andre Drummond, really good basketball player, but I don't know if at a big man, how far a big man can really take you nowadays. This is going to sound like a homer pick, but I was definitely going. Me and my dad, we were on board for Harrison Barnes. Watching Harrison Barnes at Carolina, he could put it on the floor. He had good size. He can defend. And there was much more upside. Like, you knew, okay, he could score. He could do some things. We knew if we worked on X, he could be even better.
So quiet at Carolina, though.
Yeah,
well, at times.
He didn't have that game. That's the thing.
He dropped 40
if you look at MKG, but if you look, I think over the. Well, let's talk about things that Michael Kidd-Gilchrist did in the NCAA tournament.
I wouldn't drop 40.
Well, he didn't drop 40, but that's not what they were looking at. They were looking at, can this player take a game over? MKG took more games into his hands than I think.
Oh, no chance. Now, MKG would have been fine, maybe like 9 or 10. Well, but not 2.
I'll say you guys are falling for the flash.
I'll say I'll say this at the time. MKG
I fall
was
for the slash. You guys fall for the flash.
At the time, MKG was the consensus thumbs up pick. I feel
he
was the most sure of those remaining guys. I mean, right now I think Barnes is the most interesting because you don't really know what he would have been on a normal team. Because let's face it, he was on the Warriors and was in a pretty good situation his first years in the league.
The Bobcats at the time could not afford to use that second pick on a guy that may or may not have turned out to be a good player.
I'm taking that risk.
No, well.
That was a brutal one.
Because then at the worst, he can defend and get you a bucket.
Okay, let's get to the question of the show. So we looked in.
So segment done. New segment done.
I loved it.
That was good.
Cho knows.
Cho knows.
Good stuff.
So we looked to the past in that segment, David. Now let's look into the future for the question of the show.
I'm excited about this one.
Always question with the Q. Questions help us learn things new. Question marks are very cool, especially when you're in school. Always question when you try. You'll find who, what, where, when, why. Question marks are very fun. Let's break them down now one by one.
All right, question of the show time. This week's question comes to us from one of our listeners to The Daily Show. And if you haven't subscribed to that yet on iTunes, search Locked On Hornets and get Hornets recaps, previews, and analysis in your podcast feed every single morning. It's invaluable to the hardcore Hornet fan. All right, this week's question comes from one of our listeners, Keith. Keith asks, when LeBron finally hangs it up in the East and it's back up for grabs, who would you like to see the Hornets pursue to finally take this team to the next level? We'll start with David.
This is an interesting question, right? Because when LeBron drops out, it feels like it's just open season for anyone to jump out there, right? So I think one name that jumps out to you, this is not my guy, but I just want to mention, I mean, the obvious guy is Steph Curry, because at that time they may have another shot at him. Hey, may come this round. We don't know. Who knows? But I think my guy is a guy that went toe to toe with LeBron recently, and that's Giannis Antetokounmpo.
Yanni. You're just you love the Yanni.
Well, look at him, man, and he can't even shoot yet, but he's got 22 points this year, jumping up from about 17, 9 rebounds a game, and he's leading that team. He's playing point guard like a lot of the time, like we talked about. I mean, and that's a guy who, if you're looking for someone who's going to take over the game like a LeBron James, he's the closest guy. And
he just signed the 4-year, $100 million contract, so that lands him, in that area where you would expect. We should talk about that. Like, when is LeBron going to drop out of it? And now let's just take away the whole going to the Western Conference factor and just say, okay, he stays in the East for the rest of his career, stays with the Cavs, whatever. Or maybe goes back to Miami and forms his super team. I don't know. But how long? Because we've seen Duncan play in like not prime, but a factor in terms of his win shares for 13 or 14 seasons. And LeBron's approaching that, but I think he's got the way he takes care of his body. I think he's got 4 or 5 years left to just be a factor. I don't see LeBron James fading out like a Karl Malone or kind of staying a couple of years too long. I don't see LeBron doing that, but I see him staying for 4 or 5 more years.
He better not. Because I don't want him to try to get 5 rings. But I actually really do agree. He takes great care of his body, and he's never hurt. He's never hurt. Like, he probably does have at least, at the most, 5 years. Like, I could, honest to God, outside of a significant injury, like, I could definitely easily see him playing close to 5 more years.
All right, so he's going Giannis. Where are you going for your player?
I put together a little group of guys I eliminated before I got to my guy.
Tony Romo is not one of the choices.
But Tony Romo is in rumors of playing again. Thank you, Jerry Jones. Back to basketball. I started with Anthony Davis. I said no, he can't stay healthy.
He's got to go somewhere. He can't stay in New Orleans.
I said Russell Westbrook, too erratic for me. I said Kevin Durant, he's really, really good, but sometimes he comes up small.
Okay.
And then I said Steph. I really like Steph, but you can kind of get a little physical with Steph and take him out of his element. Then it left me with a guy that has good size, that's a wing player, that can run a team, shoot, and score. And I said, there's a guy that does that who's top 5 in scoring and number 1 in assists.
I think I know where he's going.
At 6'5", 230 pounds, I'm going with James Harden of the Houston Rockets. And I know you guys say, Justin, you always talk about James. But this year...
That's not what I was going to say.
This year was different for me. From watching James, is before we always knew he could score. Everybody knew that. But the difference now is actually read a piece on him. He was saying that now, when Dwight left, he had to lead. Like, he had nothing else to do. And I watch him play now, it's not about the crafty moves that he does or other passes, because we knew he could do that. But he's a leader. Like, if there's a bad play that happens, he goes to his teammates. And when he needs to take over, he can get to the lane at will. And then say you cut him off the lane, he can shoot. He can give you everything you need. He has size, vision, score, and shoot. Because I think some people think scoring and shooting are the same thing, but they're different, and he gives you all of it.
All right, Keith, I'm going to give you my answer here. First of all, I want to talk about timing. So I said 4 or 5 years. I'm pointing to 2019, 2020. And I know that's a long time away for Hornets fans. They want to make that move like now. Like, who are we going to get now? We're going to go after Steph or blah, blah, blah. But I really look at 2019-20 for a couple of reasons. First of all, you're going to have, depending on what moves happen in the next few years, you've got a lot of money clearing. It's really Nick Batum's last season because he'll have the player option. A couple of other player options. MKG's option comes up. Marvin Williams, his option comes up, which I imagine he will probably take because that's going to be deep into his career. But there's a lot of room, but he'll be on expiring, so there's a lot of room to wiggle there. Cody Zeller, the only other player getting paid. So no Kemba Walker. His contract will be up by then, depending on an extension. But so a lot of money to spend. LeBron might be on his way out. I like your pick, Giannis, because it feels attainable for the Hornets. It feels like a guy that they could talk into coming to Charlotte. I don't like your pick because I think it's way out of the realm. Like, I don't think James Harden is ever posting up in Charlotte. Okay, so I'm going to split the difference and pick a guy that I think might be out of reach, a young player, just got drafted in his second year, but will be a restricted free agent in 2019-20. That's Kristaps Porzingis.
Okay,
Zinger.
Great answer.
Zinger, it's the big guy that they've been searching for. They tried Cody, they tried Frank Kaminsky, and those players have a lot of room left to grow, but they're not the player. They've been searching for Kristaps, and Kristaps hasn't been available. He's averaging 20 points, 7.7 rebounds, 1.4 assists in his second year. His numbers have skyrocketed in his second year over his rookie year. He's shooting 38% from deep, blocking 2 shots a game. He's a human, what the hell did he just do reel. So not even a highlight reel.
That's
just
a
like,
great
this
pick.
is amazing. I think, again, Kristaps he's played overseas from Latvia. There's no, kind of I don't know if there's, but he did play, he is playing in New York.
Yeah,
He's playing
that's
on the
problem.
larger stage.
And that's going to be his team for sure when that time comes around.
Right. Well, and that's the thing. It's like, will they try to extend him, before restricted free agency? Who knows?
And I say for sure, just for, Carmelo.
Can I throw out another name?
Please.
What do you guys think about Jabari Parker?
I don't think that's the game changer unless he makes a couple of
'Cause
leaps.
I do think he's
going
gonna be there.
He's got to
playing
make a
well.
couple of Kemba Walker leaps, I think.
I do think that'll happen. I think he's going to be special.
How about a guy like Andrew Wiggins?
How about Doug McDermott? No, I'm just kidding. All right, let's go out to the comment section. We haven't been out there all show. First of all, I love this from longtime listener David. What better thing to watch while waiting on your firstborn? Congratulations,
Oh my gosh, that's
David,
awesome.
joining David in fatherhood.
Enjoy it.
Embrace
it.
Cherish it. All right, let's see if we have any answers for this. Let's see. Going back to your segment, Checking Cho, Mouthman15 says MKG is my favorite player, but I was hoping for Harrison Barnes. Certainly,
I think a lot of people were around here at the time.
He had the Carolina love because Mouthman says you get shooting and length.
Thank you, Mouthman.
John, for this one, for this segment, question of the show saying, instead of going after Steph Curry, how about going after Draymond Green?
Oh, my God. Can you imagine what Draymond's going to be doing in 4 years? How many high kicks does he have left in
I
him?
don't know. He might, pulling hammies.
I love Draymond as a player, as a guy. I don't
Is
know
it a
that
franchise
know if
changer?
he's the centerpiece to your franchise.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, I think that would be tough. I mean, it would fit. Again, it would fit in terms of what they're going to need around the time that LeBron hangs it up.
And that's attainable, I think. Too. I mean, we're talking about it 4 years from now, but a guy like that.
I don't know, because I feel like Draymond, even more than Steph or anyone, I think Draymond represents Golden State, and they gave him the shot. And
I think he's fourth on the pecking order, though, if you're going to pick from those guys, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Sure. Okay.
Sure.
Keep those comments coming. We'll read a few more later in the show. Hornets are still in play still playing every other day, and it doesn't give us a lot of time to look back and do analysis. Hopefully we can do some of that coming up next week when they start to get 1 or 2 days off. It's difficult keeping up with all these games that they've got upcoming, all of these opponents, but don't worry. We have you covered. Giddy up. It's time for the Showdown.
Welcome to the Showdown with Calamity James. Here are the matchups to keep an eye on this week. On Wednesday, the Hornets will square off against the struggling Washington Wizards for the first time this season. If there is one person who cannot be faulted for the Wizards' issues, it's point guard John Wall, who's averaging close to 24 points, 10 assists, and 2 steals per game this season. Conversely, the Wizards' bench is the lowest scoring in the league, with its 4 players amongst the bottom 11 in the NBA per net rating. Considering the lack of production from his teammates on the court and off, Wall has been asked to do a lot coming off of last year's double knee surgery. After a tough loss to the Orlando Magic, he was left alone with the media to answer for his teammates' performance, even though he put up a personal career high of 52. MKG and Kemba will certainly have their hands full dealing with him on offense and defense, but unless Washington plans on playing Wall all 48 minutes, there's no reason the Hornets can't pull out a W. Back in October, the Celtics stopped the Hornets from starting the season 3-0 for the first time in team history. The Hornets only lost by 6 points, but allowed the Celtics 6 3-pointers for the first quarter alone, and 15 overall, with the game's leading scorer, Avery Bradley, going 8 for 11. Throughout the game, the Hornets' help defense was picked apart by efficient ball movement, screens, and timely shots. If the Hornets want to win on Friday in the TD Garden, and they certainly can, they must limit and contest Boston's perimeter shooters. Beginning a road trip with a loss to Cleveland in the second of back-to-back games wasn't the most unexpected start to a 5-game, week-long road trip, but the Hornets will have to tighten up on both sides of the ball to keep from slipping. During similar streaks last year of at least 4 road games in a row, the Hornets won a total of 8-8. The season schedule has continued to take a toll on various players, from Kemba's recent slow shooting starts to MKG's fourth quarter benching, which means the key to this road trip will be steady production from the bench. If you follow me on Twitter, which you absolutely should, you might have seen the picture of the Christmas tree I helped my parents and brothers set up. Soon after uploading, Twitter user Salty Sads appropriately called it the Mike Tolbert of Christmas trees. I hope one of my presents under a tree is a gym membership because my muscles could certainly use a tune-up after that fiasco. In addition, I'm still pulling needles out of my hair, but at least I smell like pine. To make this more fun, my parents also have 2 dogs, one of whom is very curious about the new thing in the living room. So, if Tolbert the tree gets knocked over somehow, I'm willing to bet that my family will be celebrating Christmas around the largest and most horizontal tree we've ever had.
You got a gun, Letty? Or would you use mine?
Great stuff there from Calamity James. Again, if you want to follow her on Twitter, it is at Calamity_James. Great Hornets analysis and great look ahead to a couple of tough games. I think Boston will definitely be an interesting game because, as she said, I mean, you have to guard their perimeter shooters, something that the Hornets haven't been able to do with several teams, and Boston being one of them. Something also interesting, so the Hornets got off to a 14-10 start last season, if you remember, and they went 4-12. It was the start of, I think it was that point where we went, oh my God, the Hornets are 4 games above 500. What's happening? Like, you know,
it was bad.
So you're hoping that this is not a repeat, that we haven't seen this, show before. But I want to talk a little bit about tomorrow night's matchup. For the sake of those listening on Wednesday morning, it would be tonight's matchup. The Wizards. It's been a struggle despite John Wall and Bradley Beal finally getting into a groove after that debacle where Wall was left out to sort of fend for himself and answer for the team's transgressions. They reeled off 2 wins against Denver and a good, certainly playing better than most people thought they would, Milwaukee team. They do drop one to Miami, which is kind of embarrassing, and now they face the Hornets. So, guys, what do we think about Washington?
I was going to just rush into this and say, oh, easy W. Last time I said that, they lost to the Pelicans.
That's right. I remember that.
Don't do that anymore.
Don't do that.
That's the last time I said that. When I just watch from the Hornets, I just like to see just consistency rather spurts. Mm-hmm. There are times where they're getting good looks, they're not hitting them. There's a time they play really good for 6 minutes, and then they break your back on defense. I just want some form of consistency. I'm sure Clifford is preaching that, and just that. I guess that's
and consistency will be key, David, because there's the starting lineup for the Washington Wizards plays extremely well. So you've got Bradley Beal and John Wall, obviously. Markieff Morris, Otto Porter Jr. Playing really well this season as well, averaging 13.7 and 7 rebounds for the team. And then Marcin Gortat having a good year as well. Then when you get down to the bench, though, that's where they have the issues. And so if the team can play consistently, you can make gains in the second unit. But it can't be this noise that we've seen game after game where the second unit brings them back in the second quarter and then, tanks their chances in the fourth quarter. Can't have that against the Washington Wizards.
Yeah, all 5 of the Wizards starting unit score averages in double figures, but you mentioned the bench struggles, and the Hornets bench, as we've talked about recently, has been scoring well. So you would hope that you can make up ground there. I mean, you think back to last April, Doug, and the Hornets had a chance, really, as it turns out, to secure home court. In the playoffs and lost a brutal game up in Washington. These games, it seem like they're always tough. They're always tight because you got Wall and you got Kemba going at each other. You got Beal, and then you have MKG as well. So, you have to lean on the bench. And I think you really want to see Frank Kaminsky, I think, snap out of it a little bit on one end of this game because when they were going well this year, he's given them something, right? giving them that shooting, getting inside, making those little floaters. So they've lost that a little bit, and they've got to get some consistency, like you were saying, just across the board, especially when you're on the road. Like, this road trip is not going to end after tomorrow. I mean, they got to dig down and get going because they've got 2 more tough games coming up. Washington's 5-1 when they hold opponents under 100 points. So if the Hornets are going to win this game, I think they have to get out, continue to get better on offense, and really maybe lean on that bench a little bit.
And I'd say 2 things. They can't have a slow start. And even if you have a slow start offensively, you have to make up for it defensively. Like yesterday, that was the problem. They started out slow, and they just spent so much time scratching and clawing, and they just couldn't close it out.
Yep.
And I'm thinking this game, they just get off to a good start defensively, because you can usually always go on a quick run to score some points. And then with the bench, some defense, because we know they can score. But can Marco, Ramon, and Jeremy play some defense collectively?
And what are we always seeing in these third quarters? The defense, you can see it notched up. I mean, they're getting hands on balls, they're getting deflections, they're getting breakouts. I mean, that's what they need to do from the beginning. I know they're probably saying that as well, right? But, I mean, that seems like the key to the whole thing for this team, to get some easy points fast at the start and then work off of that.
Can I ask a quick question? How are these things happening? Like, you understand, like, everybody on their starting lineup, all are high character, high moral guys as far as giving their effort on the floor. How are they just coming out flat?
No! Are you kidding? How's that happen? Honestly, I hope that it's an issue of playing night after night with the 1 day of rest. You don't have an opportunity to collect yourself and really regroup. And I want to see how this team, once they get out of this stretch, December 17th, the last game where we see before they get 2 days rest, I really want to see how this team reacts to getting a couple days to collect themselves, because I think this has been an absolute grind. It's certainly not an excuse. These are professionals. They got to come out and play hard every night. But I think that's been an issue. And I'm going to look at Frank Kaminsky hard this game, because I think the excuses have to stop with Frank Kaminsky. And I think he knows that as well, because he had some favorable matchups offensively against Indiana, some smaller matchups for him offensively, was not able to take advantage of them. And when he's getting taken advantage of the way he is on defense by smaller lineups, he has to make up for that on the offensive end. And I think against Washington, you're going to see the same thing. I think you're going to see, because they don't really have a go-to backup traditional power forward after Markieff Morris. They really look to Kelly Oubre, some combination of Porter, Oubre, Thornton. Maybe they with the injury to Jan Mahinmi, maybe they look more to Andrew Nicholson. But I think you could see him getting matched up with Kelly Oubre Jr., and Oubre's
been actually playing better.
Playing really well. I mean, overall the season, 9.6 rebounds. But, over the past couple of games, he's really starting to show out as well. So I think it's put up or shut up time for Frank Kaminsky, because I think if this continues, what do you think? I mean, is there a possibility you start to wonder if maybe the Spencer Hawes power forward thing comes into play?
I don't know.
I was just thinking about that, but I don't go there just yet.
Okay.
Just because he had last month he had a good month, and then he just hit this wall. So I say you try to let him play it out. But if it goes if he struggles the rest of this road trip, I think you sit him down, just like what Clifford did with Lamb almost. You sit him down and say, hey, we're gonna let Spencer Hawes get a little burn, but I'm gonna come back to you. When I come back to you, I need you to be ready.
And the problem is that, again, like I said at the top of the show, there's no reliable option in terms of a play. Like, you go, well, why not Christian Wood? Why not bring him up and give him a shot? For all the faults that Frank Kaminsky has, he knows what to do with the basketball.
Yeah.
He had 5 assists in a game the other night. I mean, he has the ability to command a possession. And that's not something to take lightly. And you don't want, in this type of grind, you certainly don't want to put somebody out there that's too green. So I think that's the issue there. But Hornets and Wizards, they'll put up their dukes tomorrow night, Wednesday night, 7:00 p.m. tip-off in Washington, D.C. Hopefully the Hornets can pull things together and try to at least go 2-3 in this stretch because they've got Boston and Atlanta coming up shortly after that. Okay, I'm super excited about this segment. I could not be more excited about this segment. It comes to us courtesy of the man behind the glass, Captain Kurt. Naughty or nice? This is very simple. We're going to go over some all-NBA topics, and each of us have one, and we'll give it to the other two and say, is this person acting naughty or nice, just in time for the holiday season? Who wants to go first? Anybody really just itching to go first? Justin. Justin's got that smile on his face.
Right.
He's got his notepad out. He's a true journalist. Go ahead, my friend.
All right, guys. This name that I'm bringing to the table, you all familiar with this man.
Okay.
We know
We've
of
already
this
talked about
man
him.
and his antics.
Uh-huh.
The heart and soul of the Golden State Warriors.
Look at him.
But you know what?
Heart, soul, and soul, S-O-L-E.
And he was one of the main components to the 3-1 collapse.
Yeah.
Does this man get cookies and cake or bowls of coal?
Yeah, because of the kicking, which we're showing right now on the screen. Look at this. This one was to the back of Harden's head. And even though that wasn't what took Harden down, it was an elbow, but still, got that leg. Look at that. Look how high this leg gets up. Ballet.
I mean,
I can't
just
even
look
do
at this.
that.
This is out of control. We have Steven Adams twice.
And there's
That
Marcus.
one.
Oh, no, that was Amir Johnson getting a little. Hi-ya.
What is that?
I forgot to even put him on the list.
All right. I'll tell you, I'll loop him one day.
I mean, this is all the way naughty for me. I mean, this is ridiculous at this point. It doesn't even matter what's going on or what his excuse is. They told him at the beginning of the year they were going to make this a point of emphasis. I'm surprised. He hasn't been suspended yet, right, Doug? I mean, you mentioned this last week. He hasn't been suspended yet, right?
It's
I mean,
weird.
That's got
It's
to be
weird
coming.
that, again, he gets tossed for these antics in the NBA Finals.
Well,
And
that
yet
was
we're-
also, remember, that he had built up a certain amount of points.
But he's
right?
not building up anything. That's what I'm saying.
Don't.
He's not building anything now. That's the problem, and he's allowed to sort of get away. And body control experts have come out and said, "Look, this is not
a natural.
normal.
This is not normal.
No.
This is not
It's
normal." No, he's definitely naughty. I'm gonna go naughty on both of those.
He's getting cold for Christmas.
He's getting super cold. Okay, David. Let's see. David, I want to save yours for last because it's probably the most fun. All right, this one, my naughty or nice, is going to be David Stern. He was in the news last week. On Tuesday, he did a question and answer session with Marist and Columbia Universities. And those smart biddies over there knew it was the anniversary of the Knicks' Chris Paul trade to the Los Angeles Lakers back when he played for the New Orleans Hornets. Instead, Chris Paul was traded to the Clippers, and the rest is history. I've got this from courtesy of SBNation.com. So here was the proposed trade, Chris Paul to the Lakers. And there was there's the trade that actually happened. Austin Rivers, Eric Gordon, Chris Kaman. Good Lord. All right, I'm telling you, next week we're gonna be primo. But there's the two trades. Here's what David Stern had to say. Again, this is from SBNation.com and their recap of the situation. David Stern said, "What cancellation? The GM was not authorized to make that trade, and acting on behalf of owners, we decided not to make it. I was an owner representative. There was nothing to void. It just never got made." Do you guys buy that? Was David Stern being naughty, or was he being nice when he nixed that trade and now his comments on the trade?
I don't have anything positive to say about this man.
Gosh, I mean, he did some good things for the league.
Kobe Bryant and the Lakers were supposed to have 6 rings.
Oh, God. So now we're going to feel bad for Kobe and the Lakers.
And Chris Paul. And he took that away. I don't care what he has to say. He is naughty. He will never be nice after doing that. Never.
I'm going to say this is actually nice. I'm going nice on this one. But you know why?
Why?
Chris Paul, Doc Rivers, Blake Griffin, the current Clippers organization amounts to what they are, which I think people are finally starting to get a little annoyed by the whining and the constant complaining. They're perfect. They are the perfect Clippers organization. Think about if they had gone to the Lakers, the Clippers would still be garbage, right?
Exactly
Probably.
where they should be, the laughing stock of the
No,
league.
this sounds like a case of deny. And Stern, he got caught up in all kinds of conspiracy theories with the NBA, and certainly none of them could be proven. But this was a situation too. You have to understand they were about to go to a lockout, And you had a team that basically in the New Orleans Hornets, George Shinn, which people listening to this show right now are very familiar with that name, took the Hornets team from Charlotte to New Orleans, basically could not own the team anymore, could not afford to own the team. NBA takes it over, and they nix this deal because owners would have lost their mind had Chris Paul gone to the Lakers, and it would have caused a bad situation to get even worse as they were heading towards
You'd have
lockout.
no Lob City.
The hell with Lob
All
City.
this other stuff never would have happened. Jeez.
Kobe and Chris Paul.
To hell with it. All right. Go ahead, David. Your naughty or nice. Final one.
My naughty or nice features the Lakers again. Last night in Sacramento, our man Luke Walton took all of 8 minutes to get 2 techs and get tossed out of this one.
So we saw what happened. So the Boogie Cousins took down Julius Randle.
Yep.
Look at that. Oh, he's so mad.
Now, you know what? You know what?
I can't read lips, but
I'm going to go ahead and tell you what I think of this, and I want to hear what you guys think. I think this is nice. I think Luke Walton is going to bat for his players. They love him out there. You can see the difference he's made with that team.
Mommy, what's he saying?
Maybe some addition by subtraction, not with Mr.
He took the
Mr.
jacket off. He
took
pulled the
jacket
Roy
off.
Williams UNC move.
The only problem is he's in Sacramento, so it's not like he could go anywhere.
Tee him up. You're out of here. And then I'm going to go nice here too because he just goes all out.
Oh, yeah, he got his money's worth.
Oh, man. Yeah, it is. Look,
Oh.
Luke.
La 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 lay low la.
I am your mother, and that is not language I'd like you to use.
Justin, naughty or nice?
Hey, all nice.
Yeah.
Just taking the jacket.
Nice.
You got me hot.
No,
taking my jacket off.
There are sometimes you just have to do things to let your guys know, hey, I'm here for you. And 8 minutes in,
8 minutes.
he had enough. He had enough. And then, I'm not too proud to say this, but I have used a few of those words when I get a little frustrated myself. So, Luke, you are not alone.
Woo.
Nice.
Man, those
Nice.
burning. Now, look,
That's a
I'm
triple
of
nice.
the opinion 8 minutes in, you wanted to get kicked out. You
He
knew
did.
you were getting kicked
He
out,
did.
right? 8 minutes in. I mean, he was going for it.
Well, that was the closest that you're going to see in the NBA of the manager like stealing second base and carrying it away. Like that was. I don't know if we've gotten word yet.
He made his mind up.
Yeah.
When he walked in the arena.
Let's get out to the commentariat on this one. Draymond gets all of the coal, says Brendan Rogan. Yeah, not many fans of Draymond outside.
Talking about my man.
Not many fans of Draymond outside of San Francisco, I imagine. Let's see. Daniel saying Santa better wear a cup regardless.
Oh, that's definitely a clever
That's
one.
great. And Mark saying that David Stern naughty forever after helping to steal Masonics. Bring him back.
Burns.
Hey, David Stern, we don't want you around here.
Jeez.
We don't need you, B.
Stern.
Last segment of the show, in honor of it being Star Wars week. Are we excited about Star Wars? I've got my tickets already. I'm ready to go.
Oh, really?
Yes.
You locked in?
I've never watched Star Wars.
Oh. Well, it's been nice, Justin. I mean, it's been a fun ride. What can we say? I don't know.
Anyway, in honor of Star Wars week, I'm calling this next segment Now Showing. With these big blockbusters, everybody wants to know, is it going to be as good as the preview? Or are we all being given the old bait and switch? So we're going to take a look back at some things that were previewed in the summer and ask, Hornets things that were previewed in the summer, and ask, what's your status? Is it a Hollywood movie edition here? 3 choices. Are the following movies in theaters now, coming soon, or in development hell?
Okay.
Okay,
Gotcha.
so 3 things that were maybe promised or said would happen.
What are we drawing?
I don't know.
Justin just wants to draw.
Oh, what? Never mind.
We're going to do that for naughty or nice, but
that is what we were supposed.
that's okay.
That's fine.
Yeah.
We can draw some stuff.
All right.
Okay.
Whatever comes to your mind.
My drawing skills suck.
All right, first
I might
one.
just go with words.
First one on Now Showing. Steve Clifford said Kemba Walker was looking even better this season. So is this movie Fantastic Kembas and Where to Find Them? Is that your 3 choices are, is it in theaters now? Did it come true? Is it coming soon? Or is it stuck in development hell?
That's in theaters now. I don't really know how to draw that, but I mean, that came true. That's an absolute fact.
Yeah, his averages are way up on the season. He struggled against the Pacers. One of the first games he struggled in. Needs some help for sure. But what do you think? You're still drawing. What do you think, Justin? Is it in theaters now? Is it coming soon?
This looks like a baseball, but I was trying to draw a basketball.
Okay.
But right here, folks.
He's balling.
It's in stores right now. I mean, in theaters right now. Excuse me. In theaters. Sorry about that.
Okay, we heard a lot about this one's that one's a warm up because that one's easy. Kemba playing well above his career averages and made that's the most exciting thing about Kemba this season is that he's made another leap.
Yeah.
And we talked a lot about like how much room does this team have to grow when it seemed like every player made a leap last season. And you're seeing that. Hey, Tyler saying saludos from Costa Rica. What are you, Tyler? Where's my ticket? I want a pina colada.
He left us in this cold, dreary
Tyler.
weather. Not cool, Tyler.
So this next one, so that one's not up for debate, but this one is. We heard a lot about defensive improvements from Frank Kaminsky and paint protection from Roy Hibbert. How about this one? Is this Guardians of the Paint? Is that in theaters now, coming soon, or in development hell?
Oh, that's in development hell. That's struggling. It may not. It may be in development. That's a straight to video release right there, I think.
It's like Olsen Twins.
That's right.
Olsen Twins movie.
Do you know when you go to Walmart and they have like the big bin of all the $5 DVDs?
It's been tough.
That's where they are.
It's not. It doesn't feel like it's coming soon. And
Sorry, boys.
For Frank Kaminsky again, I just want to see what that's going to look, what his game is going to look like when there's a chance to actually get into practice.
This is a VCR tape, Justin. We used to have VCRs.
Yes.
We used to have a tape.
Yeah, that's
just
a good
have
one.
a VCR tape, kids.
Maybe draw it smaller next
Ask
time.
your kids.
Ask your kids.
And the
Ask your parents.
and
I
the paint
should say.
protection.
Why would your kids know what the VCR was?
No, they know about tablets and Blu-ray.
Hey, parents, ask your
The
kids.
kids and that Blu-ray,
The blue discs.
blue discs. But yeah, Roy Hibbert hasn't been the paint protector I think a lot of people thought he was going to be. And I think a lot of that has to do with that initial injury. I mean, he's still laboring, and more teams are throwing centers out there that can extend the floor. And it's just been tough to get him the minutes to really get. We've heard it from Clifford many times. I mean, you've got to get 15 to 18 minutes to really start to get comfortable out there. And more we're seeing guys play 12, 13 because there aren't a lot of surefire answers in this Hornets roster right now, or deep into this Hornets roster.
I'm gonna be patient just a little bit. Yeah, I know Roy's not 100%, and Clifford, he gives him high marks, as my grandparents would say. So I'm going to wait. I'll give him a month. I think that's a little bit too much, but I'll give him a month. But if Roy is still out here, not guarding anything, we're gonna get a little critical.
Right.
Not great, Bob.
That's what I'm talking about.
All right, last one. We only have about a minute and a half left. A lot of talk in the offseason about who would replace the dynamic, clutch offense of one Jeremy Lin. Steve Clifford kept pointing in the summer or after he was acquired to Marco Bellinelli. Has Marco Bellinelli helped the Hornets celebrate, last one here, Lindependence Day with his own resurgence? Hiya! Is it?
That's it.
Is it in theaters now, coming soon, or in development hell?
That's in theaters now every night for the Hornets. I think he really has been that punch off the bench. And, they talked about Sessions.
Leaning on him in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, they talked about Sessions coming in and replacing Lynn, but that really wasn't the case because the scoring was never going to be there. And I think Marco has really done that, especially of late, maybe even been more consistent, really, than Lynn at times with that jump shot. So he's been their only real consistent threat off the bench, I think, certainly lately. So I think Marco Bellinelli's been great.
I was attempting to draw lightning strikes, but they did not turn out well, guys. I'll probably give up drawing. I'm sorry. But yes, Marco comes off the bench, and he comes off, and you can tell he's comfortable. Like, he comes off ready to let the rock fly. And that's what you want from the bench. You want a spark. When you think of bench, you think of instinct. And Marco comes in firing.
He's unafraid, but more importantly, he doesn't make bad decisions. We've seen even late in or in fourth quarters that Frank Kaminsky's had an opportunity to play. We've seen him in the Cavaliers game make that questionable spin move that led to a turnover and a LeBron James bucket. You don't see that as much from Marco Bellinelli. He's not making big mistakes in clutch moments. Got a couple questions here on the YouTube chat. I want to save these. So
good. I like those.
Yeah, Brendan's asked, who would be the best player to complement Kemba, a dominant big like Cousins or elite two-way wing like PG-13? That's a great question, Brendan. Subscribe to us on iTunes, Locked On Hornets, if you haven't already. If anyone wants to hear the answer to that question, we'll address it
That's a
later.
hell of a question.
It's a great question later this week. There are a couple others, too, that I'll get to, that we'll get to later this week. But for now, we're out of time. Thanks for listening to this live edition of Locked On Hornets here on the Locked On Podcast Network. Had a great time. I really enjoyed this episode. Follow us on Twitter at Locked On Hornets. Subscribe to us on iTunes and stay up to date on the Hornets every single day. We want to hear from you. Email us your Hornets thoughts, your questions, your comments to buzzbuzz@hivetalklive.com. For David, I'm Doug. Go Hornets. Go America. Let's swarm Charlotte.